It was in 1988, right before Pesach, when in the midst of the first Intifada, many of the students of Yeshivat Har Etzion who thought they had finished their army service were drafted back into their units. Intellectually, they all understood the need to serve, but emotionally, the thought of spending Pesach away from their loved ones left many disheartened and down. That Shabbos, at a Tish, one of their two Roshei Yeshiva, Rav Yehuda Amital Zatzal, stood up and told them a story. He said that during the Shoah, while he was imprisoned in a slave labor camp, somehow he had managed to smuggle in a white shirt. Every Erev Shabbat, before he went off to work, he would fold up that white shirt and hide it in his pocket. For the entire day, he worked. But then, as the sun set, he'd find a way to sneak off to the side for just a moment, quickly put on that white shirt, and for just a moment, have Shabbos. Then just as quickly, he'd take it off, fold it up again, and go back to work. Rav Amital looked at his Talmidim on that Shabbat and said, my entire Shabbat was concentrated in those few moments with that white shirt. Because of it, I felt Shabbat with all of my soul. You're about to go off, he said, unexpectedly to the army, and your Seder will be very different from the Seder you were expecting. Most likely, it will be brief, without questions and without stories. And most assuredly, it will be without family. It may be as short as just 15 minutes long. But in those 15 minutes, you can feel God's presence, just as I felt his presence in the few moments I wore that white shirt so many years ago. Find your white shirts, and your Seder will be more beautiful than you could have ever imagined. Just a few weeks ago, our lives were turned upside down as our community began to battle COVID-19. And in just a few hours, we will be sitting down at a Seder unlike any Seder that we remember. Margaret and I will be alone. My mother will be alone. My in-laws will be alone, and each of our children with their respective spouses and children will be alone. And the same will be true of everyone in our community. And the challenge we now face is, what will we make of these lonely starim? Will they be painful, dispiriting, and disheartening? Will they be filled with longings for what we can't have? Or will we find our white shirts and transform this impossible situation into an experience that will bring us closer to God, closer to an ideal than ever imagined? Rabbi Norman Lamb once explained that the words Manishtana Halayla Hazeh translate not only as why is this night different, but wherefore? For what purpose is this night so different? And the answer is to discover that we are a people formed from less than humble beginnings, from pagan ancestors and a slave nation, and yet we rose to become God's chosen people, matchil b'gnut mesayem b'shvach. And therefore, we have learned how to make a bracha over maror, extracting blessing out of bitterness. And we found that creative and noble ends can be fashioned out of the very stuff of suffering. Quite simply, we are a people who learn to celebrate not only what we have, but what we can be. And so this evening, as we're about to tell the story of our rise to greatness, let's realize how much we have. Understand that despite the stay-at-home orders, we have homes, and that the limits that have been placed on us have been placed on all citizens and are in place to save our lives and our communities. And then let's see what part of the Seder we can hold on to and make special focus on and create a connection not only to Seders past, but to so many Seders to come. For me, it'll be an opportunity not only to say the Haggadah, but to study it, to share questions and answers, and to learn. For some, it may be the opportunity to sing with vigor the song, whatever that Seder song is. And for others, it may be holding on to the becher, to that wine cup you'll hold when you drink the arba kosot, the 4 cups. Maybe it's the cup your father held, your spouse used, or the one that was given to you so many years ago as a very special gift. And for others yet, it may be finding the unanswered question within that Haggadah and holding on to that question until after Yom Tov, when you can ask. Each of us has something, but we need to find it. We need to focus not on what is missing, but on our own white shirts. We need to make the bracha over this bitter turn of events, find a way to make this night special and not merely different. One final thought. A Hasidic master once asked, why at the beginning of the Seder do we do the unthinkable? Take a precious matzah and break it in half. And the answer, he said, was that unless something is broken, you will never truly value it when it's complete. Only through experiencing brokenness are we able to gain an understanding and an appreciation of what we have when we have it all. Next year, when family and friends once again surround us, I pray that we remember this year. I pray that we remember the challenges and the ways we rose above them, stayed in place, protected our health and the health of our community, made our lonely Sdarim more meaningful, and found our own white shirts to bring God closer and ever present. May this be a meaningful Pesach Seder. Chag Kasher v'Sameach to us all.